Spider-Man, one of Marvel's most beloved superheroes, has had a long history in animated series. Among the numerous adaptations, the Spectacular Spider-Man stands out as a 2008 cartoon series that expertly portrays the character's origin story, and in this video, we are going to talk about it and explain it in detail from start to finish, so sit back and enjoy. The show revolves around a boy named Peter Parker, a high school student who gains superpowers after being bitten by a genetically altered spider. Now, he has to be a student by the day and be a friendly neighborhood hero by the night, all while keeping his identity hidden. Peter lost his parents in a plane crash when he was young, and ever since, he started living with his Aunt May and late Uncle Ben. We all know how he died. The series starts with Peter already having his powers for a few months, so after the summer vacation, on the night before school starts, Spider-Man swings into action and busts up a bank robbery. But little does he know, there's this mysterious figure called the Big Man keeping tabs on him through a live feed. The Big Man sees the whole thing go down and tells his henchman Hammerhead to bring in the enforcers and take down Spider-Man once and for all. At school, Peter reunites with his best friends, Gwen Stacy and Harry Osborn. After class, they get offered internships at Dr. Connor's lab, which is pretty cool. But there's a catch: no pay. Peter overheard Aunt May's financial troubles, so he's worried. To make some cash, he tries to sell his Spider-Man pictures to the Daily Bugle, but Jameson kicks him out. Tough break for Peter, but this will be his main source of income, at least for now. At night, things get wild as Peter gets attacked by the enforcers and this villain Vulture. But don't worry, he totally takes them down like a boss. The only downside, he gets home super late and Aunt May isn't too thrilled about it. She lays down the law and gives Peter a curfew so he doesn't pull a late-night hero act again. Gotta watch the clock, Spidey. Late at the lab, Dr. Connors impresses Peter and Gwen with the clean energy source he's working on. Once they leave, an electrician named Max Dillon gets electrocuted while trying to upgrade the electrical filters. Now, he's emitting powerful electrical fields and ends up quarantined. Calling himself Electro, he goes on a furious rampage, causing chaos all around. In a rainy battle, Peter takes on Electro and with some clever moves, manages to defeat him by causing a short circuit. Meanwhile, at the lab, Dr. Connors accidentally picks up a vial of lizard DNA that got electrified by Electro's powers, and leaves with his wife Martha, unknowingly setting the stage for more surprises to come. At home, he takes a shot of the vial, hoping to regrow his amputated arm, and it actually works. But, as usual, there's a catch. Scales start growing all over his body not long after. Things get even crazier when he transforms into a giant lizard, wrecking everything in sight and running away. Martha and Gwen stay back at the lab, determined to find a cure. But of course, Peter can't resist being Spider-Man and follows Connors in pursuit. In the end, Spider-Man manages to get the serum into Connors' mouth, and he turns back to normal, but the poor guy loses his arm again. The next day, Peter sells a cool photo of Spider-Man versus the lizard to the Daily Bugle, but when his buddies find out, they're ticked off because they think Peter only did it for the prize money, completely neglecting their friend in danger. He gets humiliated and fired, which is why he considers using the serum to ditch his spider powers, but then he remembers he saved a life today as Spidey, so he keeps it hidden under his desk. Alright, so there's this new bad guy called Shocker, hired by the Big Man to steal a high-tech suit from Tricorp and take down Spider-Man. On the flip side, Peter gets a call from Jameson at the Daily Bugle. They want to buy his Spider-Man pics, and guess what? He actually gets paid this time. But during a fight with Shocker, his paycheck gets wrecked, leaving him with no money. No worries though, Peter gets a new check and gets a rematch with Shocker. He totally kicks Shocker's butt this time. Now, here's the twist. Turns out, Norman's the one who helped the Big Man swipe that suit from Tricorp because they were his rivals. The Big Man wants him to create more supervillains for him, and in return, he'll fund Norman's organization. Things are getting darker, man. He puts this thief Marco through a procedure that turns him into ash and dust. However, Marco rises from his ashes again and becomes the famous villain we know as the Sandman. Immediately, he goes for Spider-Man and actually kicks his ass. The next day, while Peter is giving tryouts with Harry, Sandman is going around looting ATMs and banks. Their paths cross once again, but this time, Spidey wins by throwing wet cement all over him. In the end, Harry gets selected in the team and even scores a chick while Peter is left with Gwen. The very next day, Alexander gets this crazy titanium armor from Norman and bam, he becomes a rhino-like supervillain. The whole city becomes their battleground as he and Spider-Man go head-to-head in an epic fight. But guess what? Spidey's a smart cookie and figures out Alexander's weakness. He tires out easily. So, our friendly neighborhood hero manages to defeat him and get him sent off to prison. Spidey also learns that the big man is Mr. Lincoln, who is a famous and wealthy businessman, setting the stage for more epic adventures to come. Oh, and on a side note, Peter gets to go on a date with the famous Mary Jane. So, guess what? There's this new villain in town called Green Goblin, and the big shocker is that it's actually Harry. He drank some weird potion after his girlfriend went back to her ex, and it turned him into the Goblin. As the Green Goblin, he loses all control and crashes Mr. Lincoln's party, causing chaos. Peter has to ditch Mary Jane to swoop in and save the day, but Goblin slips away, leaving Spidey to deal with a bomb planted at the party. He manages to save the day, and to top it off, he finally gets that long-awaited dance with Mary Jane. The next day, Harry starts having seizures, but another vial of that Green Goblin juice fixes him right up. Meanwhile, there's this guy, Dr. Otto, who's got these crazy tentacle arms. Norman asks him to run some experiments, but sneaky Green Goblin gets into the lab and turns the experiment on while Otto's inside, merging him with those tentacle arms and giving birth to Dr. Octopus. Now, Doc Ock's all about stealing a permanent power source. But come on, we know Spider-Man won't let that happen. While all this is going down, Norman's watching Goblin's moves, but he has no clue that he's actually dealing with his own son. Alright, things are getting intense. Green Goblin kidnaps Hammerhead and offers him a spot on his side, but Hammerhead's loyal to the big man. Meanwhile, Gwen catches Harry with that Goblin juice. Harry then rushes off to Mr. Lincoln's office to expose him, but it's all a trap. Now, Spidey and Lincoln have to team up to take down the Goblin. In the end, Spidey discovers that Harry is the Green Goblin, and his father had some shady dealings with the big man. Since Harry doesn't remember anything when he's the Goblin, Spidey decides to keep it a secret. Meanwhile, a black sludge from John Jameson's shuttle is being analyzed at Dr. Connor's lab. As Spider-Man, he runs into this thief called Black Cat, who's after the alien. But the alien bonds with his suit, turning it all black and supercharging his powers. Meanwhile, there's this other bad guy, the Chameleon, who's pretending to be Spider-Man and causing all sorts of trouble. People start wrongly accusing the real Spidey of the crimes. Spidey teams up with the Black Cat to expose and catch the Chameleon, clearing his name. As a bonus, he gets to keep the cool black suit. And hey, Black Cat steals a kiss from him before disappearing. Now, all the villains Spidey has sent to prison until now team up and escape with an outsider villain named Electro and Hammerhead. They all battle him in the middle of the city, and let's just say that Spidey gets his ass kicked. He tries again at night, but once again, no luck for our hero. He is heavily outnumbered, so he uses his own strengths against them to take them out one by one. The next day, when he wakes up, we learn that Peter has no memory of last night, meaning his new black suit was working on its own. The symbiote starts messing with his personality, making him all aggressive and reckless. And to top it off, he's haunted by vivid nightmares about Uncle Ben's death. But you know what? After witnessing all the good in his life, Peter realizes he needs to ditch that symbiote once and for all. He faces it head on in an epic battle and manages to seal it in a chamber. But here's where it gets even crazier. That sneaky symbiote finds a new host in Eddie Brock, and bam, he becomes Venom. Now, Venom's got it out for everyone who is close to Spider-Man. In an ultimate showdown, Spider-Man faces off against Venom and manages to separate the symbiote from Brock's body. He then hides it in wet cement so it never manages to escape. On a side note, Gwen has been hiding her feelings for Peter for the entire season, but she finally musters up the courage to give him a kiss. Mysterio, who is hired by a master planner, makes an appearance and starts causing havoc around the city with his illusionary tactics. In the end, he gets apprehended by Spider-Man, but as it turns out, the one Peter caught was a fake, and the real one was hiding at the crime scene all along. And by the way, Peter is reinstated into ESU lab after getting fired earlier. Sergei Kravinoff, a very skilled hunter, comes to New York in search of the ultimate prey, Spider-Man. But when Spider-Man proves to be too much for a normal human to handle, Kravinoff pays Professor Miles Warren to turn him into the ultimate hunter. With his newfound superhuman senses, Kraven is able to track Spider-Man's scent on his own and takes him on. However, he is still no match for Spider-Man, so he joins in with the Master Planner to take him down. On Christmas Eve in New York City, Spider-Man investigates the whereabouts of technology stolen by Mysterio. He confronts Blackie Gaxton and learns a rumor about a mysterious Master Planner, hiring villains from a criminal operation. Meanwhile, a group of supervillains, including Rhino, Kraven the Hunter, Dr. Octopus, Sandman, Mysterio, Electro, and Vulture, is assembled by the Tinkerer on the orders of the Master Planner. The villains attack Spider-Man in a coordinated effort, causing chaos across the city. Despite the overwhelming odds, Spider-Man manages to defeat some of the villains, but the Master Planner's sinister plot remains a mystery. Later, Spider-Man faces off against a group of villains led by the Master Planner, who is revealed to be Dr. Octopus. The villains plan to access global portal codes for world domination. Spider-Man saves Gwen Stacy from the Master Planner's lair and engages in a showdown with Dr. Octopus. He eventually defeats the villains and rescues Gwen. Meanwhile, Peter Parker's love life becomes complicated when Liz confesses her feelings for him. The story ends with a New Year's Eve kiss from Liz, leaving Peter torn between his feelings for Liz and Gwen. After that failed plan from the Master Planner, Sandman starts working for Hammerhead and going on a crime spree. Spider-Man steps in and they go head-to-head in a fierce fight. Sandman gains new powers to absorb silicones, making him a formidable opponent. He ends up stealing the urn of Morpheus from a museum, but deep down, he's conflicted about being a villain. But things take a dark turn when Sandman tries to hijack an oil tanker, putting lives at risk. In a brave move, he sacrifices himself to save others but actually survives. Also, Eddy finds the spot where Symbiote was buried and bonds with it again. Venom goes on a crime spree to frame Spider-Man, using his shape-shifting abilities to mimic Spidey's black suit appearance while causing chaos and instigating fights. He reveals Peter Parker's secret identity at the Daily Bugle, driving J. Jonah Jameson into a frenzy of anger and blame towards Spider-Man. Venom's out to destroy every aspect of Peter's life, and he won't stop until he sees it all crumble before him. After his failed disclosure plan, Brock returns to the ESU lab and tries to catch up with Gwen, but Peter intervenes, claiming they have a meetup with Harry. Later that night, Venom confronts Spider-Man, threatening to expose Peter's secrets to hurt him. They fight in front of the reporters, and Venom almost unmasks Spider-Man, but Peter manages to retrieve his mask just in time. The battle leads to the high school, and Venom plans to use a gene cleanser to weaken Peter. However, Peter tricks Venom into swallowing the cleanser, and the symbiote starts leaving Brock. Brock is taken away, and the weakened symbiote crawls into the sewers, leaving Venom's fate uncertain. In a high-stakes black market auction for the blueprints to create Rhino's powerful armor, Hammerhead represents Tombstone. But they lose the auction, and chaos ensues as Hammerhead and Silver Sable fight over the blueprints, dragging Spider-Man into the mix. Suddenly, Rhino shows up, determined to destroy the blueprints because he wants to be the only Rhino. Hammerhead and Silver Sable reluctantly team up against Spider-Man and Rhino, but in the end, the blueprints get destroyed. Little did they know, those blueprints were actually fake, and the real ones, as well as the money, were in the hands of Norman Osborn all along. At this point, things got even more complicated for Peter. He was dating Liz while Gwen started a relationship with Harry. However, Peter and Gwen couldn't deny their feelings for each other any longer, and they decided to end things with their partners to be together. Breaking up with Liz caused her distress. Meanwhile, the shocking revelation came when Green Goblin turned out to be Norman Osborn, who had manipulated his own son and framed him, and hired the Chameleon to mess with Spider-Man. In an intense final battle, Spider-Man seemingly defeated Osborn, but Harry blamed Spider-Man for his father's death and vowed revenge, even putting Gwen's safety at risk. Gwen was stuck with Harry, and Peter had no choice but to accept the difficult situation. Challenges kept coming, testing our friendly neighborhood hero to the limit. It's always a bittersweet feeling when a series ends, especially when there's so much potential for further exploration of the characters and their relationships. The coming seasons could have delved deeper into the complexities between Peter and his friends, adding even more depth to the story. Unfortunately, it seems like we won't get to experience those adventures in the form of an animated cartoon. So, that was Spectacular Spider-Man for you guys. If you enjoyed the video, then leave us a like and subscribe to our channel for similar content. Thanks for watching, we'll see you at the next one.